All right, and we're live. We've got Theresa Giunta on today, certified mental performance consultant, former two-time All-American lacrosse player at Westchester University, and recently inducted into the Hall of Fame there. So congratulations, and I'm excited to have you on. And been obviously working together for a bit now, maybe close to a year, and through various ways of sport, performance psychology. So excited to have you on. Welcome on, and please introduce yourself to everyone listening.
Yeah, thanks so much, Danny. I'm glad we finally are able to make this conversation happen in all of the work that we've done together. But yes, I'm a certified mental performance consultant, which is the gold standard of our sports psychology field. It's through the Association for Applied Sports Psychology. A lot of organizations are now requiring that certification, so that's great for our field just in terms of the importance of the mental game and training our brain. So I'm the owner of TG Performance, which is a mindset consulting company. I work with youth athletes, high school, collegiate. I've worked with some Olympians. I've worked with businesses and management teams, physical therapists, office, and I like to say that I work with a high performer who aspires to be a high performer and really training the high performance mindset.
Sweet. Yeah. And today's topic is mental performance tools and strategies to become an elite athlete and what it truly takes and looks like. So, you, with your background, being an elite athlete yourself, and now having that experience to now relay onto the people that you work with, just kind of talk about briefly before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of the conversation, just your experience on just kind of everything that led up to you being a two-time All-American, now being in the Hall of Fame, like what that took, like the process to achieving what you achieved. Because I mean, as it's becoming more part of the conversation of like the process is everything, but still we all focus on like the goals, the accolades, but talk about that process of your journey and what it took for you to become that elite athlete that you were, and how you kind of take that into your coaching now.
Yeah, sure. So I was a lacrosse player, and I knew that I wanted to play in college. And so that aspiration took me to Westchester University, which is a very competitive Division II school, right outside of the Philadelphia area. So we contended for national championships. Unfortunately, never got one. Ended our career on a win, though. We got a conference championship, in my 4 years there. But what I will say is, so recently I gave my Hall of Fame speech, which was a really special moment for me. And taking time to reflect on my experience and really what it took to get awarded these accolades, it was not about the results at all. And quite frankly, I truly didn't know the capabilities of my athletic ability until I really got to college. What I did know is that I loved the sport. I was really fast and that nobody could catch me. um, and so I just used that to my advantage. And throughout my college career, I really started to understand the power of the mindset and when you truly believe in yourself. And I really had the opportunity to do that when I was in college with the coaches that I had, with the teammates that I had, really elevated my ability on the field. I started reading this book called Mind Gym by Gary Mack. I highly
Mm-hmm.
recommend it to any athletes, youth, college, post college. It was a great asset to me. And I really started to own my confidence and let like my perseverance and my hard work and my passion and my love for the game shine. And truly, that's what led me to be such an elite athlete because I had goals not necessarily to be an All-American or to be in the Hall of Fame. Honestly, when my coach was telling me that I was um, in college a contender for an All-American, I was like, are you serious? Like, right? Like it was really cool. Like it was almost shell shocking in a way. Like that wasn't my intention, but because of my hard work and dedication to the sport and to my team, that's what led me there. And so that's what you said, the power of the process, that's where success lies. Because if we're truly embracing and embodying the action behind what we do, then everything else is going to take care of itself. The results will take care of itself. And that's really how you define success.
Mhm. Interesting. I'm curious to have like dive into more of your specific mindset, and maybe this segues into some of the topics that you plan on going over. But if you can put yourself back into your playing days, what does that mindset look like? Because I'm curious as to, because you hear, oh, mindset, you got to have the right mindset, your mindset to get like, but what does that look like? Can you
Great
describe that
question.
feeling? And yeah,
Yeah, like what is an elite mindset?
yeah,
What is even like what does confidence look like?
yes,
Right? Like
yep,
coaches all the time tell athletes like be more confident, like have more confidence. And it's like, okay, well, what does that look like? And it looks different for everybody, but I would say
correct.
that your confidence is built on preparation and intense trust in yourself, right? And hindsight looking back, why I became a mental performance coach was because I want to teach athletes how to hone in on that process. Because I think it took a long time for me to do that myself. And I would say, like, I did it a little backwards. Like, I loved getting an interception in lacrosse, right? Like, I loved it. I loved it more than scoring a goal, probably because I'm more defensive minded, right? And so I just had this mindset or this thought that I'm going to get that ball. Like that ball is mine. And if I don't, I'm going to learn the timing perfectly on how to do that. Right. And so, yeah, that translates into an interception. That translates into playing one-on-one defense. Just learning the game and building your IQ. And so I was a learner of the game. And I would say that I embraced failure. Like, I don't think, and maybe I'm saying this now because I'm a mental performance coach. Who knows
Hmm.
if I really thought this back in college?
Yeah,
I don't really think I ever failed. Like, I don't think I ever thought of getting beat as a failure. Like, that actually like it like motivated me more to compete, right? And so like a motto that I carry with me when I talk to teams, even in my own coaching, and in my workshop is a teammate mentality is doing things for each other and with each other and competing with each other. So even if you get beat, right? It's acknowledging like that situation up like, yeah, my teammate just beat me. Okay, now I'm going to raise you up. I'm going to come back and get you, right? And so it's this mentality of like in poker, I see you, I raise you, right? And taking that failure or mistake and finding the opportunity and growth in it. And I think
okay.
that's a big part of mindset is finding every opportunity um, to be motivating and encouraging to your performance, whether that's a positive or a negative.
Hmm. No, I think that's awesome. I think one thing I've been seeing a lot recently that I've been trying to teach to the athletes that I work with is feedback, not failure. Um, it's like the analogy that I once gave recently was if you're an A student and you get an F on a test, does that drop your grade immediately from an A to an F? No, you maybe go down to an A minus or a B plus. You're not an F student or an F athlete because you quote unquote fail on a play. It's just a feedback of this is an area that you need to work on, which it sounds like you kind of had that approach. And basically, I'm going to go back to what you said about the mindset thing. For me, it sounds like what you're saying is you had your mindset was just an intense amount of focus on a specific area that made you really successful or that really excited you in your sport. And it feels like a lot of people and athletes think that they have to be great at everything, where it's like you can just have your one or two really good things that make you stick out, as opposed to trying being, it's good to be unbelievable at everything, right? And it's good to sharpen your tools in all the different areas. But if you can have that one or two things of that's my ball, I'm going to get it on every interception, it kind of makes you block out everything else and just focus on that one thing. And your mindset is more directed as opposed to being scattered. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just that's kind of what I'm reading from what you're saying as far as like your mindset when you were playing and what made you so great.
Yeah, I think you summarized that nicely. Some of the best advice that I've gotten in my professional career was from Justin Sua. We were at a conference
Hmm.
together and he was presenting and just talking about like growing my business and what to focus on. And he said to me, if you focus on everything, you're focusing on nothing, right? And so it's like, well, yeah, duh. Like we can't do everything and be exceptionally great at everything. But if you do what you know how to do exceptionally well, then your network and your skills will start to expand,
Hmm.
right? So you're tackling one thing at a time. And so, being an elite performer, it's not about doing everything exceptionally well, but it's doing what you know how to do exceptionally well and then challenging your limits from there.
Hmm.
Right. And so once you get comfortable or something becomes easy, okay, how do I challenge my limits now? How do I challenge this skill? Right. And that's all part of a goal setting process and how you're measuring your own progress and success. And one of the um, best skills I feel like that I give to my clients is doing an objective evaluation, right? Being able to measure your skill and taking your personal away from your performance,
Hmm.
right? And so it's like, okay, what am I doing well? I always want to hunt the good stuff, right? Like I always want to celebrate what I'm doing well and recognize those things because we want to replicate those things, right? Whatever I'm focusing on, that's where my energy goes, right? So why not focus on making the good things consistent,
Hmm.
right? And then it's what do I want to do better? Okay, this is where I failed at today. This is where I'm challenged. Okay, what do I want to do better? And then how am I going to do that? So that action piece is huge, right? Well, what does that look like? What does it look like to get faster, to get stronger, to get, better defensive positioning or whatever that may be. So it's well, better, how. What can I do well? Or what am I doing well? What can I do better and how?
Cool. Yeah, I recently heard about Well Better How and kind of going in like a journal sense, just like writing down what you did great that week, what you didn't do great, what you could do better, and how you're going to go about doing that. Because it makes it you're writing it down, you're putting it on paper, it's getting out of your head, and then you're kind of like writing a tangible way of saying, okay, this is how I'm going to go about doing better at this skill or this thing. So that's awesome that you're mentioning that. Yeah, I don't know if you had kind of started talking about, we talked offline or off record about the different little foundations or key elements to becoming an elite athlete. I believe you said there was five. I don't know if you started touching on that, but if you did, you want to just kind of go into that a little bit?
Yeah, I think organically we've been kind of pulling them all
Yeah.
together here.
Yeah.
But I think it's all about systems, right? And having effective and efficient systems. Um, Being a high performer, an elite performer, you got a lot going on, right? You have your personal life, you have your professional life, your athletic life, right? There's so many different factors that go into elite performance. Your nutrition, your hydration, your sleep, your preparation, your technical training, your physical conditioning, and your mental training, right? That's a lot of things to keep track of. So having a system to keep yourself on track and is super important. So one, it's about being able to measure your progress, right? So what we just talked about with a well, better, how, I think that's a great technique to use at the end of a week. Maybe you do it at the end of the week or midweek, right? Just to check in. I give my athletes all different types of questions too on how to start to measure their performance. And it's all process based, right? So that brings me to my next point on focus on what's within your control, right? And that's our process, right? Our success isn't based in our results, but it's our response in that process that leads to those results, right? So we can't control what happens to us, but there's this beautiful moment between what happens to us and our response, right? We call it like space is grace. And it's
Mhm.
our choice to respond what's most effective to our performance, right? So that can be how we refocus or reset after a mistake or after we experience strong emotion. And so being an elite performer is being able to do that not only in what would be deemed as a negative experience, but also a positive one, right? So the most consistent performers don't stay in the highs and they don't stay in the lows, right? They bounce back, right? They might embrace it for a few seconds or maybe 24 hours, right? And then they come right back down to their process. Okay, they're in a slump. All right, they let themselves have 24 hours and then they come back up and they refocus on their process. That process is your daily habits. Okay, so how you're recovering, how you're measuring your goals. I'm a big proponent of journaling and meditation and mindful moments. So all of those are considered part of your daily habits that allow you to realign with your values and with your process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's another one I think I encompass too in those focus on what you
Mm-hmm.
can control and develop your daily habits that realign you with your values and how you want to represent yourself. Um, and I think one of the ones too that we tend to put on the back burner is have your support system. So high performance requires a high performing support system. So that's people that not only inspire you and encourage you, but also like challenge you and push your limits. And also how you are your own support system. This has been a huge question that I've been asking athletes recently is how are you your own support system? So when others aren't there or you're not getting the support that you need from coaches or teammates or parents, right? How are you your own support system? And that leads me to my fifth one is it's building intense trust in yourself, and that's based in your training, right? So why do you trust what you can do? And what's the data to support that? And having, 3 to 5 to 10 things that are listed in your phone or on a note card that you can refer to pre-performance, in the break of a practice, post-performance to give yourself a boost, is huge. We really want to embrace and identify the trust that we have in our own ability.
Yeah, there's gold in a lot of what you're saying right now, and my brain is just like firing on all cylinders because there's a lot that I want to kind of like unpack there quickly before I ask some questions that I want to end with. But um, one thing that you mentioned is, oh yes, the space. Um, that's huge, and something that I'm learning myself is like that space of response versus reaction. Reaction, there's no space. You're just something happens, you react. But taking like a quick 1 second, 2 second pause, which putting this out there for everyone to listen to, is so much more difficult to apply than it is to just talk about right now. Taking that quick like second or two to just formulate a proper emotional response to a negative play or a bad thing that happens in a game is so crucial. And I'm so happy that you brought that up because a lot of it is being an emotionally intelligent person, being an emotionally intelligent athlete, to just not ride the waves of the highs and lows, and like getting super high when something great happens and not getting super low when like you make one bad play that you're gonna forget about once the game ends or in like a week. So I think that I'm so happy that you mentioned that because that is so important. I feel like there's so much power in just like take a second, reset, not react emotionally, and just it's all good. It happens, and just like you said, having your own back to be like it's all good. We're
Yeah.
back. Gotta get ready for the next shift or play or whatever.
Yeah. Like, so what now what? Like, what's my
Mm,
next best move? And if you're listening to this and asking yourself, well, how do I take space? How do I not
mm.
react?
Yep.
Our breath is so powerful. It's like the one thing that I think sometimes we forget that actually can bring us back to the present moment, right? Like just simply taking a deep breath, reconnecting with your body, which is physically present in the moment,
Mhm.
right? Brings us back to this neutral zone. And then we can choose, okay, what's my next best move here?
Yep. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, I have a one question before running low on time here, but um, we've gone over a lot of stuff, super high valuable information. But if I'm a, let's say, 14-year-old plus athlete, and I'm like, I really love this sport, I want to take it to the next level, or I'm a parent of an athlete that I see that there's some fire and drive, they're very self motivated to do things, and they come to you, the athlete or the parent, and I want to become elite. I want to be the best at this sport, or I want to be the best that I can be. Um, Taking all that you said, if you're working with this athlete or giving advice to a parent, what are some things that they could take away from listening to you right now that they can immediately implement? Obviously, if you want, listen to the whole episode again and take as much as you want, but just you have an athlete one on one, you're sitting there talking to them, and they say, I want to be elite. Well, how can I start? What are some things that you would tell them that they could take away right now, or a parent to support their kid?
Yeah, sure. I think one simple yet super powerful tool is really identifying your why. Your why is your biggest driver behind what you do. And at the end of the day, sports aren't our whole identity. Being a lacrosse player wasn't my only identity. It was for a period of time. Um, Yet that can be taken away from you like that. I ended my career on an injury, and it was really hard for me to deal with that, right? But I showed up in other identities that I had that lacrosse gave me, right? As a leader, as a motivator. And so, it's great if somebody wants to become elite because they want to play in college or get the scholarship or play Division One, whatever it may be, right? All great goals, but those are outcomes that we are not fully in control of. What we are in control of is our effort, our attitude, and our preparation and how we get there. And that's all like inspired by and driven by why we do it in the first place. So my first question would be to identify like, okay, well, why do we want to go play this sport in college? Why is that important to me? Right? And really honing in on what you can control because at the end of the day, sports are about having fun and bringing joy and enjoyment. And when I see athletes truly connect with that and that purpose, then everything else comes together, right? Then we can talk about goals and your process, and bringing those values aligned to what you're actually doing to achieve that. And then that gives us like a pulse check, right? Okay, am I in line with my values? Right? If I'm not getting the starting spot, okay, am I showing up in the way that I want to? Right? That represents my effort and my attitude and my passion for this sport, right? And what I want to accomplish. And keeping that the forefront of why you're doing in the first place. You do that, you'll be successful.
Sweet. I love it. That's awesome. We'll end it there. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the conversation. This is awesome, and I'm excited to put this out to the world and for people to listen to, and excited to have you on for more episodes and keep the ball rolling. But thank you again, and I appreciate this. So thanks
Yeah, great questions, Danny. Love these conversations with you.
for sure.